Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Painter casting Division N of AOE League Season 14. This is our Group 2 matchup against the two UK players, Tumblwd and Crystella. As always, let's go to the player cards and get a little bit of personality behind the people playing today. First off is Tumblwd. You can see by that win rates by match duration, really aggressive player, likes to put on the pressure and has picked a very aggressive map, Border Dispute. So we're going to see, I think, really chaotic games from this player. We've already seen some really strong militia or men-at-arms opening and really good aggression from this player. So this is a player I'm excited to watch play today. Britain's Magyars Franks is their most played civilization, so we'll see how that affects the bans or maybe the picks for today. We're going to move on to Crystella, the other UK player. Crystella is, she likes her Bulgarians, her Huns, her Franks. So she's like a cavalry player, I would say. She picked Coastal Forest, kind of another aggressive map. These two maps allow for laming. Whereas AOE Leagues usually has a rule against laming on certain maps. So that's one of those interesting things. Also, hasn't played an incredible amount of games. She's been around for a while, she told me, but she hasn't played a lot of ranked games. But she's played in a couple of community tournaments. So maybe you recognize her from maybe Titan, T90's community tournaments, TTL, I believe it was called. But anyways, moving on, she also sent me this picture of a cathedral near where she lives in the UK. It's actually the cathedral that they based or used to make the Britain's unique relic, their relic they have. So it's called Chichester Cathedral. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They invented the language, and I'm here to ruin it. So that's an interesting little addition she gave me. And then onto the bans for this specific matchup, though. Tumblwd is banning Spanish, Wu, and Bulgarians. So some of those aggressive civs, Bulgarians especially, can be really good with their men-at-arms into their cavalry options. Spanish, their unique units, very good. And the Wu, Crystella actually had a good amount of gameplay with the Wu in previous sets, so maybe that's some scouting by Tumblwd. Crystella bans the Franks, which is one of the most played by Tumblwd. The Britons, the other most played, and the Malians, which are another solid ban. So it looks like these two players have come prepared with the matchups. The maps, though, so you can pause because I don't want to discuss too much about these maps. It takes up a bit of time, but Border Dispute, expected to be chaotic, expect there to be laming and a lot of fighting early, and the same with Coastal Forest. This one, though, can be more strategic because you have options to go for fish, which are more protected if your opponent doesn't go for it. And if they go for the standard men-at-arms, your fish will be safe. So there's obviously some options there. Anyways, let's jump into the game and waste no more time, and we will get started. This matchup specifically is going to be between the Jerkins and the Japanese. Two J-Civs with some good options. I think the Jerkins are really good for preventing DK. That's one of their bonuses, so I'll go over this briefly here. So they've got this meat of hunted and livestock animals doesn't decay, which allows for you to go for like a double or triple lure on the boars early on to prevent them from being lamed. Let's see if she utilizes that, or if Tumblwd goes for this one, which it looks like he's going for the lame early on. He's doing an excellent job of controlling the boar, but he might lose a villain now. It got really chaotic, and that's the type of stuff you can expect on this map. So down a villager early on, got really chaotic with all of the boars under the TC. He might still go for it. He does. So he's still going to get an extra boar in, but at the cost of a villager's life. Whereas Crystella only pulled in one, but she's maintained her TC a lot better. So a little bit of a trade-off there. We'll see if Tumblwd can use the extra meat to have an accelerated feudal age, or if it changes the feudal age plan. Now talking a little bit more about the matchup, though. So the Jerkins, I think, are really good throughout the ages. I would say they have good castle age options with the Grenadier, as Tumblwd loses his cavalry and says no. So a little bit behind there. Oh, Stella might lose hers, though. They're both being very dangerous. I'm pretty sure the TC positions are pretty set, so they both kind of know where they're at. A little bit of banter and chat going on. But anyways, for the matchup, Japanese men-at-arms are very good. Obviously, their infantry attack faster is a pretty classic bonus that most people recognize for them. Their CA is also very good, so if we get to Castle Age, you could see some cavalry archers. Fishing ships, maybe, but I think it's less likely. In one of the games on this map, they played for a dock in the center, and your galley, I think, actually can range their TC in certain cases. At the very least, it can range buildings to the forward, and it also denies farms. So there's definitely a potential to play for like a long-term navy option, but obviously not like a large commitment. As I say that, Tumblwd's house, here comes the house now. So a decent amount of idle time, whereas Crystella's looks like she's managing it more. This is interesting though. Maybe an interesting adaptation to get all the shorefish. Let's put a fishing ship, which is maybe questionable. But I'm pretty sure all this terrain is walkable. I mean, you see the villagers walking on, right? So this could die to men-at-arms pretty easily, right? Excuse me. But anyways, matchup-wise, Jerkins get this 20% faster attacking mounted unit. So whereas their scouts might not be able to beat the men-at-arms in the spear, which is really strong from Japanese in the feudal age, eventually things like step lancers can become really strong. The scout like cav play is really good too. So there's definitely options there. But yeah, I don't know a lot about the Grenadiers other than that they can be interesting in rushes and they can play well against certain clumped up units, so they might be a good men-at-arms answer. But I think most people would just prefer to play into like the crossbowmen against longswords or men-at-arms play like archers and feudal. A lot of options though. Going to gold early. Let's see what this looks like over here. I haven't seen gold being taken yet, so I don't know if it's men-at-arms on the Japanese side. I think it's a really good option. Resources collected is pretty even, but you can see the shorefish is really good for fast collection. It's one of the faster collections in the game. But now there's going to be a good old-fashioned mill fight. Uh-oh. This is one. Better micro, I think, on Crystella's side. She might get another. Nope. Okay. I mean, she's got a bunch of villagers in the center, though. They can't challenge this. Tumblwd can't without more villagers. Losing one. A lot of idle time, because it's kind of like, what do I do here? It's the thinking process, right? Excuse me again. But I think the faster feudal time will probably benefit Tumblwd for massing units early on. Maybe Castle Age or Capture Age having a little bit of a problem here. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're back. I don't know if that will display in the video, but some freezing here. Trying to get this dock down. I don't know how possible this will be. Mill's coming in too, so long-term food eco is probably okay, but a bit of idle time in terms of the workers. Still goes for the dock. I think this could be rushed down by these villagers if Crystella reacts. I think she might be going for her own men-at-arms. Yep, militia on the way. Definitely could kill this. So getting the center control with a dock and maybe making like a fire galley to kill the fishing ship is okay. It definitely pushes the villagers off. I'd be more... I think Tumblwd needs to be more pressed to deal with the land army that's on the way. So not having a barracks yet is going to be maybe a little bit dangerous. Crystella's getting ready to not get housed. Solid play there. Jerkins are really good at this, at extending their food under their TC. She might have gotten more of the pigs too, so that might have been the other thing, is she spent more time worrying about the food on the outside rather than the boars in the middle that often players fight for. So, using the fishing ship to scout forward. It's intelligent, just trying to see if there's like a barracks here somewhere or something to be spotted. Let's see what she got with that information. So yeah, it gains a bit of information. A galley coming out to kill the fishing ship. So 2 lumber camps is always good for the Japanese since they're so much cheaper. I think it's by 50%. There it is. think Crystella's economy it's good to have 7, but this is going to slowly get worse and worse for efficiency. Whereas, obviously, 2 lumber camps would be great for long-term efficiency. Men-at-Arms stacking up, going for 5. That's actually going to be hard to stop. So the galley, I think, can range the stuff and might be able to eventually range towards the TC. So this is one of those things that, like I said earlier, Tumblwds utilize really effectively to control space in the middle. I thought it was really intelligent to do, to add just a little bit of navy. Here we go. We got militia on the Japanese side as well as on the Jerkin side, but this is going to probably hit faster and harder than the militia need their upgrades to get stronger here. Exposed wood line to hit here. Let's see how much she can see here. So she doesn't really know a lot about the resources positions in terms of like external resources, wood, mill, gold, all of those things. The mill is pretty safe, but the gold and the wood lines could definitely be hit. She's going to wrap around, sending scout forward to try to gain information. This wall is pretty strong though. Starting to build up a wall, Tumblwd is. But this also does expose this villager, which could go down here pretty quickly. And the militia here is only 2. So this is probably going to be a villager kill here, for sure. And then she's sending her scout to gain more information. Might even kill the market. Denying the option for a Japanese player to go up to castle quickly. As Crystella commits more to feudal aggression. Ooh, this is interesting. This is something I've been thinking about. Is people play men-at-arms a lot, but they don't really switch to scouts. Usually it's obviously men-at-arms into the range, which can be great, but I think scouts can throw people off and really do a lot of damage. And they're great if your opponent wants to mass up skirms. And they're decent against archers even, so they're just such a good unit, mobile army. Arson coming in. This is actually a really solid decision. I think she recognizes that she wants to kill this market. Bear's going crazy. Moved her men-at-arms around to kill the ability that finished the market, which is really solid. So we'll see where these men-at-arms go. I think she just leaves them trying to kill here. Wheelbarrow coming in, maybe enough to go up to castle soon. So that could happen here. And it looks like Crystella's going to go for a longer feudal, going for horse collar. And then fight for water again. 2 galleys into 2 fire ships eventually. We'll see if that plays out. See the scouts come around to attack the gold, which makes it harder for Tumblwd to go up now. But I think he has enough farms under the TC to eventually make it there. Pushing off all resources though. More villager kills. That's a bunch of villager kills for Crystella. And she's still attacking away at this market, which I don't think is that awful. Killing houses, stabbing TCs, which stops the food income from happening quicker. I feel like at this point, Tumblwd might be in damage control. I mean, he can maybe make it to castle, going for knights or something to clear out these issue units. This combination is really good though. The scouts can deal with some of the range units well. The men-at-arms are obviously very deadly against the villagers. Good for town watch. Not awful, but Crystella's just going to keep mounting the pressure. I think using the market to get up would be really good for Tumblwd. I feel like he wants to respond to this somehow. Goes for spears, which isn't awful. Still has the militia here too. Spears do well against the scouts. Does sell to go up, so that would be good. I think he might be able to stabilize from the position, but it's really hard. Crystella's done a great job of keeping her TC running. 35 villagers to 28, great amount of kills. Just constantly harassing and forcing Tumblwd to focus on this, and look at how inefficient this is. So this has been great for Crystella. I think the opening's been really strong. Kills the scout here. This is good. Preserves the market too. Diving underneath the TC. This might be a bit ambitious. All the men-at-arms are gone. The counterattack now might be really deadly. I think Crystella's done a good job of getting pressure, but maintaining it, trying to maintain control. She has enough farms to maintain villager production, but she doesn't have enough farms to get ahead of villager production and actually make her way to castle, especially if she's building more scouts. Going for a market of her own, so we would probably expect her to buy up soon too. This force will definitely push away these scouts. They answer really well against the incoming scouts. Castle Age a minute away. I think Tumblwd could just go for a boom and recover here. Decent position now. Regaining control. Has this lumber line still too. A lot on gold, so we'll see. I think this would also be a great time to switch into like CA. Would be a really good answer. Just because the way the economy is set up here, you probably want to have. I don't know. You probably do like. There's a few options for sure. Castle Age, CA, crossbow. And I think these spears and men do a good job of preventing this scout aggression. Crystella now has enough to go up to castle, so we'll see if she clicks it soon. I think that was her plan, and then maybe she just forgot. It's good economy too, 11 on farms versus 12 farms. So both have enough to keep constant villager production. Ooh, these spears have been maneuvered really well, constantly defending the weakest locations. Man at arms and spear there. Spears here to defend the wood line. The scouts picked off here, so doing a good job of mitigating damage. Wins back water maybe. I mean, there's still the fire ships in here. There's galleys in here which we should lose in this confined space. And maybe the fire ships will get the house here if they do jump out. It obviously requires Crystella to recognize where this is if she's worried about this. Yep. Sometimes it's hard to look here as well. Going for stone. Okay, so the Jerkins. Iron Pagoda is a really good unit. That is their unique unit. It can block melee attacks, as you can read there. It has decent pierce and decent melee armor. So it's pretty good against most units. I think it's a really effective unit. The Jerkins do lack knights, so that's kind of their replacement besides Step Lancers, and it does benefit from the 20% bonus attack, faster speed. I think it's a really solid unit. It's hard to beat. Japanese though have really great spears, really great halberdiers with their bonus attack speed. So they're probably a good civ to go against it, I think. And their samurai probably are pretty great against them, even if they get their attack blocked. I think they probably cut down the pagodas pretty well. Goes for War Galley. So we saw this, I think, in their last game as well. They really like this central control. Demolition raft coming in. The fire ships must have jumped out and got gunned down. See if his demolition raft hits. If it kills the village, that'd be crazy. Oh! Runs back, says no thank you. And then that was gonna get exploded. So the dock goes down. Now this is what Tumblwd did that I thought was really intelligent. So even though it feels like you're not really fighting for a lot of control, a lot of land units do bad against navy units. So if you don't have like an overwhelming number of knights or something to go kill these out at sea, they can just constantly harass you underneath here. Now missing fletching means that Crystella could garrison and kill these two. They don't have quite enough range. But this is just going to be constantly annoying. Targeting houses, targeting TC, something to always need to deal with. This is where I think Crystella naturally could add in some monks. Because that's actually one of the best units against Navy. Especially low numbers of Navy. Just a few monks. 2 conversions, you just win back water, you kill their dock, and then you do the same to them, right? So, and then monks are obviously useful beyond just trying to get the conversion. They can go grab some relics and be useful. But she's sending her villagers way out here. I wonder what she's doing here. She's got her Step Lancers posed to strike. She'll probably run into here and attack the farmlands. Castle drop planned. So she's queued it up. She wants to place it there. That's some next level premonition, right? Knows that he probably wants a castle. The Japanese samurai are pretty good in this matchup, I would say too, but might be a little bit too late. Stella's coming in with the Step Lancers. These Step Lancers are super threatening from the Jerkins. One thing about Step Lancers too is they sort of snowball really hard against their counters, so even though spears do really well against them, they can start to really overwhelm their counters, probably better than most units. I wonder if this will be denied. I should click on the castle, so now it's hitting the castle, unfortunately it's the villagers. But these villagers are here, maybe we'll go for a castle drop. I wonder how she'll place it now. She could go like here with it. Yep. Castle on the TC will be good. TC is raining the castle. If Tumblwd threw his villagers in this, I think he would deal with this pretty well. Some military units. I think he could deal with this. Samurai produce pretty quickly too, so let's throw a samurai into this. Yep, here they come. So just fight it off, just a good old little fight. Gonna get a little bit close though. Villagers dying, but they're still building away. 60% now. We'll try to stop it. I think this will get denied. At the same time, this is constantly happening. Here come more Step Lancers though. I think she could finish it. Oh, I don't know why she canceled now. I think she definitely could finish it. The reinforcements there. Lost a lot of stone, but she's been mining for a while, so she'll be able to get another castle where she wants it. She's just making it really messy for Tumblwd. She's been doing a good job though of keeping her TC running. So 49 vills to 35. And these Step Lancers have done a really good job of killing a lot of units too. They're very good at raiding. So. I think these villagers are going to get cleaned up though by the pikes. So maybe no castle here. I know she's been wanting it. Oh, she sends more villagers though. Sends the stone miners to go build the castle over here. Now it doesn't range a lot of buildings. Just the blacksmith, which actually can be very effective. If people forget, as they transition into Imperial, you miss some of your most important upgrades. All of the final upgrades, like Bracer, the final armors, all of them are more effective, right? They usually are +2 armor, or the upgrade itself breaks some sort of parity that the game has, some sort of evenness that the game has. So it's actually one of the more important things to have on uptime. Listen in university, right? Chemistry is very important for a lot of civilizations. Masonry can win you siege wars, but still more fights going on here. These war galleys have done a tremendous amount of damage. I've killed 3 units, probably in the front here, these farmers. And they've dealt 3,500 damage almost. But see, this is also the threat of playing for water. But eventually they can be cleared up with a few scouts. Fletching would have definitely made the difference there. Good use of upgrades here for Crystella. Iron Pagoda's queued up. These things are strong. Another castle here. I think both players want to really focus on getting to Imperial. I think that will determine a lot how this game plays out. The Trebuchet early on and just going for these castles. Even though Tumblwd does have access to the stone, it's just hard to catch up when your opponent produces trebuchets faster and for a longer period of time than you. I think she might be going for a ram push, which isn't a bad idea either, but I think Japanese infantry are just really strong, so you got to be very careful here. Because as long as Tumblwd keeps massing spears and samurai, pikes and samurai at this point, it's going to be difficult to stop, but it seems like Crystella's doing a good job of keeping her production, her military production running. So if I had to guess, she's probably made a lot more units. Even though the KD's been pretty similar, she's been making more units, military units that is. Shows the whole army here. Which, if everything continues the same, it's not a bad idea to throw your army like this. I mean, obviously you'd want to preserve and then overwhelm, but if your opponent isn't making as much military as you and you're comfortable just investing more into constant unit production, as she's done here, and you have the villager lead, which he does, then this is pretty fine. She's developed a pretty good farming eco, 22 farms, and she stayed 1 TC, which means that she'll be able to play towards Imperial timings, or more army, because if she's going Rams, then she doesn't need to go for Imperial. And there's only 8 farms here, which is not enough to fund a villager production, nor is it enough to get to Imperial quickly, right? So this can be really dangerous. A good rule of thumb is 6 farms for each TC you have, and then you're going to want to add more farms accordingly. Especially if you want to produce Samurai, which I think are going to be really important here. So look at this number of Iron Pagoda that Crystella has. So she's sticking to her game plan, kicks them out. Now she's got her Pagoda and her Step Lancers coming in for more raids. Going against the stone here. So her game plan's pretty simple. Throw military units to kill economy. At the same time, develop a good economy to constantly funnel more military. If she stops producing villagers and just tries to get to Imperial, I think she'd have a good time. This army is actually crushing. The Pagodas have really good armor, so they're really great against even their counters and just tanking castle fire, right? So they've got the 3-5 against 11+2, so it's not obviously enough. Here comes the ram push. This is a decent ram push too because the castle protects a good portion of it. So these villagers though might cut it off. She recognizes that they're on this side over here, and she can run back and use their blade. So just pull the rams back and forward again. I'm trying to kill this castle. This is a bit ambitious. He's a bit more than ambitious. He's a bit foolish. So she's got more Pagodas here to help. Of course, she'll kill this castle. So just having these units all here and then defending this, or just forcing. I mean, it still force an incredible amount of idle time. So just calls it eventually. Sort of like a low economy game for both players that translated into military production being the kind of the determiner of this game, which I think can happen. It's important to recognize when your opponents are not going for a massive TC play, like 2 or 3 TCs, and she just stays on 1 TC with a decent farm eco of 22 farms, will constantly increase her resources, and then that translates into military advantages that make it really hard for Tumblwd to ever get his economy going. So, decent game 1. Both players showed some life though with the boar steals and early game plays. We'll see how Coastal Forest goes. Seeing Goths versus Slavs, Tumblwd on Slavs. Slavs is one of my favorite civilizations of all time. I think they're my most played civilization, so I really like Slavs. Goths are great too. I think they're really fun. And I think they really suit the playstyle of both these players. So we'll give the first match to Crystella, and we will jump into game number 2. So Coastal Forest, it's got all this gold down here. It's got the fish up here, a good deal of it. And obviously the forest that it's named after. This also has the sheep pretty close to both players, right? So doing this lap in the front here, always important. Which might actually lead to sheep being taken. I wonder if Tumblwd actually saw that extra sheep there. He did not. It doesn't know that those sheep are here. Could have stolen them, but loses his scouting sheep. Extra sheep back here. Wonder if Tumblwd will come and get this, or if he'll miss it. Crystella sent a villager forward, which is something Goths can do really well too. If she goes for loom, I think she got it right away. So that's one of those things. Goths get loom, they can research it instantly. So you don't lose a villager with the research time. And you can play like this, where you can come steal a boar. So it's a decent option. And lets her get away with this. Otherwise her villager would have been dead. Still might die. She needs to run, she needs to run. Oh no. So a little bit of a mistake there. This is unethical. Don't let this happen. Okay, that's fine then. Maybe just some hockey mishaps. But at the same time this is happening, so I think she will lose this villager. She could use the sheep to block. Oh no. And now Tumblwd's gonna pull it, but I think this might result in this guy killing this villager. She's watching. Yep, she's just gonna go get it. I think if she just blocks. No! Oh my goodness, now the boar's gonna run away. It's running forward. Why did it go this way? That's crazy. Right into the waiting arms of Tumblwd. So a little bit lucky maybe there. A chaotic early game. Crystella idling a lot because there's so much happening.
Hey,
Losing villagers to the lures. Both of them were. A few more villagers killed for Tumblwd here. Still there's a boar here. There's some sheep here. So I think Crystella managed to steal 2 of the sheep that were originally Tumblweeds. But I think if there's any civilization that can survive early laming, it's probably the Slavs. Their farms are just excellent. So let's talk a little bit about the matchup then. So they're good men-at-arms civ because they have arson and gambesons for free, which can be very strong. His farms are really good too. And they have siege bonuses that help them. The monks are faster, but they don't have fervor. So they kind of replace that with their bonus. The boyar are very, very strong. They're a heavy, heavy cavalry option that's really good into other heavy cavalry options. But it's more likely the Goths will play halberdier in other infantry. Dead Knights, Drazina. Infantry unique upgrade is very, very strong. Makes your halberdiers win. But I guess against Goths, it might not be as effective since they're so cheap and you can just spam them over and over again. But the Dead Knights can be really good for castle spam. For the Goths, I think most people know them as the infantry civ. I mean, they spam like crazy. Their perfusion makes their barracks work 100% faster. Anarchy makes the Huskarls trainable, which means really strong raiding unit because their pierce armor is so high. That's their unique unit here. And so they're just great at causing a mess in games. And if you let them reach Imperial Age, if you let Goths boom, it is very, very dangerous. And they certainly, I think, have enough food this time to make it there. So they pulled in the other boar here, whereas Tumblwd going to the middle now. Decent wood line, but not going for this wood line. Which this was, in the last games I've seen on this map, this is a constant threat. Because the 2 wood lines like this and this right next to each other results in military buildup right here and here. And then somebody just pushes through and wins. Or at least pushes the opponent off of wood, which can often win the game. So I don't mind, even though this isn't as efficient as the other lumber line, I don't mind it because it avoids conflict up here. And since Crystella hasn't been using her scout to know if they're here, it might avoid a men-at-arms rush there, which I think the Goths naturally can play. I do though think Slavs men-at-arms is pretty good too, so they might just both play men-at-arms. We'll see. Slavs heavy scorpion is pretty decent though, so that could be a way to deal with the Goth infantry spam for sure. But it's a bit hard to use siege, just in general. Siege onager also an option. But like I said, it's just not very easy and it's so costly. You have to manage siege really well. I guess the way I'd frame this matchup is Slavs have probably the stronger infantry, Goths have the cheaper infantry. So we'll see which one wins. Quantity or quality. Quantity is a quality all of its own. So no, that could be only quantity or quality you need. Villagers going to build a lumber camp deep in the forest. That would be not a bad idea. While on this offer, putting this, closing this off, you can make a nice little lumber camp in here. I don't mind this actually. This is pretty heads up. Knowing how likely men-at-arms is. Don't know about walling this side. I'd prioritize walling or getting a gate here rather than walling this. The likelihood of your opponent going all the way around with their military and coming through here is so small. And Tumblwd actually has a scout to stop that. So if militia, men-at-arms had to go all the way around here, that would be just, you know, at that point, good job. You got me. But the wall will stop that. That's wall behind, so this is pretty smart. Recognizes that this lumber line eventually will become a problem in terms of efficiency. Feudal on the way for both players. Bit of idle time since there was such a crazy start for both players. I think game 2s are usually harder in terms of how you feel about the tempo and the pace of the game. Especially how low economy last game was. Seems like both players are kind of pushed off their game plans a little bit. Just hunting the deer, or Tumblwd is rather. So Crystella went for the dock too. I forgot to mention this. It's a good option. She's adding economy now. So even though she has more idle TC time, that should result in her having less villagers, which she does. The fishing ships will actually probably equalize. So Tumblwd's house, but does have the barracks, which did give him 5 population space, courtesy of the team bonus. It's a really solid team bonus to go for like men-at-arms builds. Archer follow-up is great too. See if it's a range. Yep, so this is always a good build, I think. Brings the scout back to get ready. I wonder, yep, spearman archers is good enough, I think. I do like the scout opening too from slabs though, because the farms work well and it just gives you a lot of mobility and flexibility. Upgrades coming in, this is good. So playing for maybe the longer feudal game. But here are the men-at-arms from Crystella. Nothing to scoff at. Goth men-at-arms are not necessarily stronger in terms of bonuses. They do have this bonus of attacking buildings, but they're cheap. So easy to fit them in. 2 fishing ships certainly help too. Now you can see the eco balance is equalized for both, right? 26, 27 villagers, roughly the same. Military's coming out for both. Archers are a good addition to stop men-at-arms. But we'll see how quickly this will happen. Spears here as well to deal with Crystella's scout. This is now really solid and safe, right? Might lose the gold here, which is not great, right? But this archer probably will make it in time to discourage this. I wonder if this is still open. No, it's closed. Where's this fella going? This might be unlucky. From the men-at-arms right on the time of the wolf attack. Crystella noticed. If she notices, she'll go after these guys and chase them down. She does. Oh no, oh no. Men-at-arms are gonna kill a Vil. As the scout watches and says, run man, run! Another Vil might die. Maybe that's a block, or Tumblwd might try to block or stuff. Here come the archers though. I think they might lose another villager. Nope. Everybody's fighting. Archer goes down, and around the hill. Probably kill a Vil. Look at that. Here comes another archer to stop this nonsense. Oh, villager down. This guy barely lives. So losing 2 villagers to the men-at-arms. But at the same time, Tumblwd had the better focus on keeping the TC running. So even though he lost 2, he actually is pretty equal on the villager count. Obviously the fishing ships certainly help a lot here, and the lack of dock over here. But that's always something to remember, that even if you get kills by focusing your men-at-arms, as long as you're not continuing TC production, and they are, you might actually be losing. Might get another though. Dives the TC, another Vil kill. Now it's starting to become an advantage for sure. Going forward. I also noticed when I was scrolling over here, this tower. Love this tower. Protects wood, stone, or wood. Protects gold and stone. And it's just a proactive play. It means that your opponent can't hit you. Especially what a common strategy for archer players like this is to do, is to defend with a few archers and then counter punch with 1 or 2, which require a response, right? Because you can't really wall out archers as well as you can wall out men-at-arms. But overall, pretty even, right? So even though the Goths are gaining a lot of initiative here, and they did kill some villagers, the idle time is starting to kill Crystella's chances of improving the eco advantage. Adding more docks here would be, or adding more efficient ships would be really solid. Way to basically have a 2 TC boom going. Going for the barracks now. Not a bad option. Also going for this forward goal, which I kind of love. Stone. Like a tower here to deny 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 farms would be really cool. This is a good fight. Without fletching, the archers have a really hard time dealing with men-at-arms. Armor coming in too is a good heads-up idea for Crystella. I think she's just going to overwhelm the position. So as long as she constantly keeps producing, this is another thing too, is archers in low numbers have a really hard time against high numbers of men-at-arms, or equal numbers of men-at-arms. So there's always this idea that even though the infantry units are technically countered by the archers, It just requires focus and a mass of archers to be effective against it. This can easily snowball, which looks like it's happening right now. Adding in forging, she just got the armor, so she's going to be stronger there. She'll constantly pick up these reinforcements. Now this is really dangerous for Tumblwd, but I think he has enough to go up to castle, so knights would be a good addition to stop this nonsense. Goes for a market, goes for a blacksmith. I think he needs a second building, that's why he's rushing up to the market. That's just the range, so. Crystella's pretty far off from going up. So it does have the market now, can go up. Probably we'll see it soon. Does lose the range though. I think he can still go up, not only because he has 2 buildings, but I think as long as the game sees that you have 1 and 2 requirements met. Barracks going back up. The 2 barracks seems like he's gonna play. Maybe go to castle and play like longswords against this, which is not bad. Slabs gambesons are pretty solid. They've got a lot of good bonuses there. But this might snowball like it did in the last game where Crystella isn't necessarily doing crazy on the economy. She's just playing a low eco pressure game where she just constantly wants to keep the opponent responding rather than ever being proactive. Tumblwd does have enough to go up, so we need him to go up to castle I think soon. But I think Crystella is gonna get to castle too. This economy is interesting. I mean, it's farther away, but it also is so unprotected. It's not under the TC. So, I mean, I don't hate it, but it's also like, this is just dangerous. And collecting stone here, so a castle drop would be cool too. But Crystella does need to go up, otherwise she'll be in trouble. Goes for market. I think she had the same situation happen where she only has blacksmith and barracks. Yep, so she didn't have enough to go up in terms of the building requirements. Constantly adding more men at arms. It's not a bad idea either, just keep the pressure up. But on castle age click up, I think the longswords will dominate and the gambesons will come in, which I do believe they give a little bit of armor. No, just pierce armor, so only against archers, I guess, or diving TCs. Excuse me, or diving TCs. Stone upgrade, so going for that castle. I guess if you have the resources, you can go for it. Killing the barracks, really solid. 6 versus 4. She should win. She's got the upgrades too, whereas Tumblwd doesn't have any upgrades yet. Gets forging soon, but I wonder if he'll take the fight even though it's forging and armor. And numbers, obviously. So bloodlines. Goth's going for knights. I feel like this should be reversed. I feel like Goth should stay on infantry as if they're Tumblwd. And I feel as if the Slavs should be going for the knights, utilizing their bonuses and advantages. So the farmer's working 15% faster and just going for heavy knight play I think is a really solid option. At least cavalry, like a light cav play. Especially, like, can you imagine 2 or 3 light cavs getting here? It would be a massacre. So, like, that's something to utilize. Now we got a big fight happening here. Longsword's in by Tumblwd now, so they're doing a good job, but there's still numbers on Crystella's side. Goth infantry is way cheaper, so even though she might be losing more, I think she's happier with this trade. Look at this KD is pretty even, but the eco KD is a lot higher for Crystella. She's been doing a good job at getting villager kills. Probably could still be utilizing the dock, but it's okay to forget when the game is this chaotic. She's happy with the stone she collected, has enough for a castle. Huskarls can come in too now. And Huskarls are going to be so annoying to deal with. Not only are they just really strong, they're decent against, I mean, not great against longswordsmen, but they're not bad either. These are just a pretty solid unit. I like this castle. It controls probably the most important space, which is not only the hill here, but also entry place into the base here. We're just kind of starting to build a little bit of a defensive line here, which is really solid. Maybe building some buildings here to just really lock down the area, make it hard for the opponent to come in through here. She's going for the longsword herself. We'll see how that plays out. villager count is also slightly in favor of Crystella still. So, like I said, if she uses the dock, she could get farther ahead. But Tumblwd's adding a TC, which is good. This is a really good TC. Look at how many minerals are around here. Protects a lot, and also kind of creates the defensive line I was talking about. So a good option there. This has been working away very safe. It's becoming less efficient, but I like this. This could become the third TC pretty easily. It's pretty hilly in here, but like a third TC around here somewhere. It's very hilly, but like third TC maybe even up here. The contemplating scout. Oh, I didn't even realize. Okay, forgive me then. There is a second efficient ship eco. Just kind of make sure that they'll stay efficient. Longsword. See, this is that defensive line I was talking about. You've got the tower here. I mean, they could come through the south, but this is one of those things that's like it's hard to keep scouting. I mean, you know, you can probably get through here. If you can get to this, which looks undefended still in terms of the vision that Tumblwd's seen, that would be where I'd strike. But at the same time, Crystella still has her cheap longswordsman. They're doing a good job at fighting off here. She's maintaining this eco advantage, I think. But with 2 TCs, Slav should be able to kind of get ahead here. 16 farms, so you need 6 and 6 for the 2. A little bit less probably since Slav farmers are more efficient, but you do need about 8 farms for militia because they produce so quickly. Any militia line, it's like 21 seconds on the production time. So they produce so fast. So if you want constant production of your longswordsmen, you're gonna need about 8 farms. I'd say like probably about 17 farms total for the Slavs with 2 TCs, which is about what they have. So they got good eco balance there. Knights coming in now. Which are a good answer to Goths. The reason why Knights are so good against Longsword generally is because they're so mobile. So you just saw Crystella sent one of her Knights here to just kill villagers and cause problems. And anytime that the Longswordmen want to engage the Knights, they can just run away. Third TC coming up over here. The monastery being added here and here. 2 monasteries, not a bad idea. Slavs get pretty much a full monk tree in terms of their axis. So you can see they have everything except fervor and heresy. So in Imperial, they're still effective with their redemption and the block printing. So they can convert like bombard cannons and long range issues that they need to deal with. And obviously they're good against knights. Longsword's coming in here. Making the pike. Next guy they're gonna tank for days. 6, 7 years armor, it's crazy. Now this TC, which was probably the most important because of all the farms, will be under threat. Getting one of the knights though is really good. Monk might survive, Monk does survive. So now we can fight this off probably. This is also why I think Slavs wanted to go for stable instead of longswordsmen. Even though their longswordsmen aren't bad. Now the Huskarl is going to keep streaming in, they'll keep tanking. And also I think the Tumblwd's addition of pikes is not necessarily correct, right? Because you're going to be countering just the knights, but I think Crystella made the smart decision to stop producing knights. She doesn't need them as much, she just uses them to raid and be annoying. And the bulk of her army, right, is infantry. So the pikes are obviously going to lose to Huskarl and longswordsman pretty hard. Gets the TC, so just goths it down, right? They're much too good against the knights already on the field, so you don't need to necessarily worry about it. Yeah. At this point now, it's really difficult to deal with. So maybe a defensive castle, so don't hold the position, or a castle here to gain back the farmland. It's so hard with this many infantry, and Huskarl are so good at tanking and idling TCs. Still has this TC going though, so I mean they can see the advantage. Second TC here, I don't hate this. They kind of protect each other. This is good for drop-off spots too. I would recommend something back here though. This is still exposed. If Tumblwd uses those converted knights, which where are they? Yeah, if he uses these and just runs around here, that would be equalized villager kill count right there. I think that's how you have to think, right? You just lost your farmland, just taking all your farms. They're gonna constantly raid your TCs. How do you do equal damage back to them? this is what snowballs are. This is Goths, Huskarls snowballing against defensive fortifications that can't deal with them. It's going to become really deadly. Crystella's not even really worried about villagers at this point. She just wants to constantly fund an army. And the fishing ships are still doing their job. Scouts still contemplating experience and life itself. And monastery will go down eventually too. I think a lot of these buildings are in trouble. Yeah, I guess they fixed it. There used to be a bug where you couldn't steal people's farms. But it's back, and then yep, GG, well played, call. So I don't know, it was more even in the Castle Age. I think they both had a good grasp on the game until the Castle and Huskarls start to come out, and then it just becomes overwhelming. But I think a good thing to highlight for both players, obviously there's always the idle TC time that can be very difficult to deal with, but one of the more fundamental maybe aspects of this is the production efficiency. And so you can see that Crystella did a great job of keeping probably her best unit, the Huskarl, constantly producing. And obviously this isn't as fair of an estimate, since it's harder to keep things producing when you start to lose ground. But you can see here all time, right? So all time barracks production for Tumblwd. So all of the investment Tumblwd made into armor upgrades and infantry upgrades in general, the production was 26%. Whereas Crystella, if we look at her all-time production, it's 38%. So not only did she have more barracks producing more infantry, which causes army to overwhelm, but she has 38% military here, 62 all-time here. So like when you think about it in terms of not even just like who has more villagers, who has more resources, but who has constantly more pressure from constant unit production, that's going to be Crystella, right? And that eventually can break players, even though these TC, and I think generally Tumblwd did a better job this game of having more villagers for a longer period of time until Crystella kind of took over in Castle Age. I think it shows kind of how important that pressure and that control of the game is throughout all stages, right? It just constantly adds up, slowly results in idle time, eventually pushes people off and controls the game. But anyways, good set of games. I'm going to do a couple more for today, and I hope you had a fun time watching.